Hey guys, what's good? Come on in. It's time for a little bit of truth talks, a little honest conversation, honest dialogue. And it is, I'm in Arizona, as most of you already know, and today was a big, huge dust storm. And it made me think a lot about how we go through things in life. So I wanted to come on real quick while I'm thinking about it and talk with you guys about that very thing. So as you come in, feel free to share the video out, invite some folks into the conversation. If you're catching it on the replay, either on YouTube or on LinkedIn or wherever, thanks for being part of the Ultimate Power team. You guys have no idea how much I appreciate you joining in on the conversations and participating. So today I want to jump right into the topic. Like I said, I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, well, Chandler, Arizona, and tonight we just had this massive dust storm. And for those of you who live here, you know how nasty those can be sometimes. Those of you who live in other parts of the country and other parts of the world, maybe not so familiar with such a thing, but yeah, it's a real thing. Imagine like a thunderstorm of dirt. That's kind of what a dust storm reminds you of. And so I was sitting in my office and I wasn't really paying attention outside. I know the alert came on my phone and said, hey, there's a dust storm alert. And again, I just wasn't really paying that much attention. Next thing I know, I look outside and it's like dark. Like could barely see out the window off across my patio to the tree on the other side of my patio. And I'm just like, wow, and the trees are swaying and you know all this stuff is going on, but then I could still hear people laughing. And I'm like, are there people in the pool during a dust storm? Like, who does that? Who does that? And so I'm kind of watching it, and I'm still working in my office and I'm watching it. And then pretty soon, just as unexpectedly as it came, it left. And so for those of you, like I said, who are here, you know, they're just messy. And so I look out on the patio and there is this thin layer of dust everywhere, like coating everything. I'm trying to explain how you can even visualize what it is, but imagine maybe not dusting your house for like 15 years. And you know how like you just move, like even if you just move something that you don't normally move, maybe a trinket that's on a shelf, and then there's the spot on the shelf where the trinket's been covering it, and then around there is this layer of dust. And how for the most part you don't really necessarily notice the dust until you move the trinket off the shelf. And so I was thinking about how many times we go through certain storms, and in the middle of it, we're just seeing all of the mess. We're seeing the dust. We're seeing the chaos. We're seeing the frustration. We're seeing the pain. We're seeing all of the things that are right in front of us. And we tend to forget that eventually the dust is going to settle. The dust always settles. And so I was thinking about the people who were still outside in the middle of the dust storm. I still think they're a little bit bonkers, but the point is that they weren't deterred by the fact that there was a little storm going on around them. And they continued, I don't know, did they seek shelter or whatever? I didn't really get up and go look, but they continued to do whatever they were doing, having a birthday party or whatever, through the storm. And metaphorically speaking, so many times when we go through a storm, we stop everything and everything shuts down. I know for me, I used to be terrible about that. Like the slightest little thing would make me just like, oh gosh, I gotta stop what I'm doing, deal with this storm, and then circle back to life. And what I realized is that every time I stopped, a couple things happened. One, I lost ground. So I had to go back and start over again. I had to begin again. Hey Gregory, how are you? I had to begin again. And so I was constantly trying to play catch up, because guess what? Storms keep coming. You can't stop every time there's a storm. You can't stop and wait for the dust to settle. You know, eventually the storm is going to stop and the dust is going to settle, but you have to keep going in the midst of the storm. The second thing that happens when you stop in the middle of the storm instead of forcing yourself to keep going is then you sometimes get lost in the storm and you forget that the dust is going to settle, that the pain will end, that and you lose track and you lose sight of the things that you could be doing to provide yourself with shelter, to make it easier to keep going. And so I challenge you guys, as you're going through various storms, and this was something I had to work on for years. It's still something I constantly have to remind myself. Like, I have a saying that I tell all my clients: life happens while you're making other plans. Storms happen. Dust storms pop up. You don't get to change that. You don't get to decide that, but you can't let it stop everything that you're doing and deal with the storm. No, yeah, there are some monumental things that happen in lives, tragedies that happen, tragedies that take place, that take precedence over some things. But I implore you to just constantly remember, no matter how bad the storm is, remember the dust eventually will settle. And yeah, there might be some cleanup that you have to do, but not nearly as bad as if every time the storm comes you stop what you're doing and focus solely on the storm. You have to press through. You have to keep moving forward. You have to keep going so that you're not constantly losing ground, stopping and starting again. And so I looked outside a few minutes ago. The dust is gone, or the dust storm has stopped. The clouds still, the sky's still kind of blah, kind of grayish looking. No sun out. But the people are still in the pool. They're still having fun. They're still pressing on. They're still having their party. And the dust settles. We'll clean up the mess. And, for me, I'll brush off the patio table, spray it down with some water, and then pretty soon I'll look out there and I'll forget there ever was a dust storm. And that's how life is. We go through these storms, and sometimes we forget in the middle of the storm that the dust will settle, and once we clean up the mess, it'll be like the storm never even happened. I promise you, it is possible. But it's a shift in the mindset. It's constantly reminding yourself that, there's something else out there. There's something bigger out there. There's a bigger purpose to everything that you're doing. And stay focused on that. Stay focused on the positive stuff. Don't let the storm distract you from your goals, from your objectives, and what you have set out to do. Even if you have to slow down on your progress, just don't stop. Just don't give up. Just don't quit. That's it, because the dust will settle. I promise. All right, guys. You guys have a great rest of your night. I'm going to get back to work, and I will talk to y'all later. Thanks for joining me tonight for Truth Talks and being part of the Ultimate Power team. I absolutely 100% appreciate you guys, and I will talk to y'all later. Bye.